Ready to go back there, Ash? Good. Thank you. Okay, good morning, everyone. And West Grade Council, October the 7th. I'll call the meeting to order. And our first order of business, if you could, please rise and we'll take a moment of reflection before we begin our duties. Thank you. And Ms. Noble, could you give us an update on the ideas of anybody joining us virtually today or how they may tune in?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor Eccles. Before I begin, at any point, if you get disconnected, you can dial 1-647-558-0588 and enter the ID for this meeting, which is 891-5626-2480. For members of the public, if you require any technical assistance, please send a chat message to West Grade Communications and I will attempt to assist you.
Thank you very much, Ashley. And next on the agenda, I would ask, is there any declaration of pecuniary interest from any of the members on anything that's on the agenda today? Seeing none. If it does arise, it certainly can be declared at any time. Thank you. And at this time, we're down to delegations. And we do have a delegation this morning. From Skyline Energy, I believe it is. And I welcome you today. And Anvil Crawler Development Corp. Is that close to being, or I'm not? Yeah, if we did get a slide deck is in our, and there's a lot of information in there. So welcome this morning. I'm going to let you introduce yourselves because I don't never really met either one of you. So welcome. The button is there. There should be a gray button that turns it on. You're live. You're going to be recorded. Anything you say may and may not. No. Again, welcome this morning, and you're here to give us an update on your battery energy storage system, which is in West Grey. In the slide deck, just as a little off piece, it's not in Hanover, so don't use that word here in West Grey. Just saying that. No. Okay. The floor is yours, please.
Looks like we may have to change the project name. Thank you, Mayor.
Please, that would help us.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Chantal. I'm joined by Matt. We'll introduce ourselves in a moment. We're here, as was mentioned, to talk about a battery energy storage system. Next slide. We'll briefly introduce ourselves. For folks who don't know, we'll just do a high-level overview of what energy storage is, why Ontario needs it, and then we'll get into the details of the project and leave plenty of time for questions. Next slide.
Mayor, Council, thanks for having me here today. My name is Matt Kennedy. I'm the Director of Asset Management for Skyline Energy. If we could move to the next slide there, I'll just give an overview of who Skyline Energy is. We are the asset manager for the Skyline Clean Energy Fund. We do the asset management, the operation and maintenance, and the development of the Sustainable Infrastructure Fund held by the Skyline Clean Energy Fund. We're based out of Guelph, Ontario. The Skyline Clean Energy Fund is a sustainable infrastructure portfolio of sustainable infrastructure assets located across Canada. It's a privately held fund, so made up of retail investors from across the country. And really the mandate is to offer them an opportunity to invest and hold the infrastructure assets that provide the energy needs to Canada and Ontario. We currently have 84 solar assets and 2 biogas assets that create electricity and renewable natural gas. Skyline Clean Energy Fund will be the developer and the long-term owner of this asset. We are not just a developer who flips assets. The intention is here we will hold and own this asset for the duration of the contract for 20 years. We've partnered with Toronto-based Blue Circle Energy, who Chantel is with, as our consultant in this project. As well as that, we have a partner, Anvil Crawler Development Corp, who has been a developer and operation and maintenance provider for battery energy storage projects in Ontario. Next slide, please. Skyline Clean Energy Fund is part of the Skyline Group of Companies, a Guelph-based organization that has a significant real estate holdings across apartments, retail centers, industrial centers across Canada. The Clean Energy Fund was the fourth product added to the group of companies. We came online in 2018, so in business for about 8 years now. Skyline Group of Companies has about 9 billion of assets across Canada. It's been around for nearly 30 years now. It is a Guelph-based company, as I mentioned. We have about 1,000 employees coast to coast, and currently manage for, as I mentioned, retail investors about $4.2 billion of equity. This is something Skyline's been really proud of, is the fact that we're not a publicly listed company. This isn't a company just owned by a few individuals. This is truly made up of Canadians, that giving them the opportunity to invest in apartment buildings, retail centers, industrial buildings that otherwise were reserved for high net worth individuals. It's been our mandate to make these types of investments available to everyone. And the reason for the Clean Energy Fund's existence was our investors came to us asking for the ability to invest in sustainable infrastructure. I'll pass it on to Chantel to talk a little bit about the energy demand.
Awesome. Next slide. As Matt said, yes, I'm joined by Blue Circle Energy. We're, again, a renewable energy advisor, and we've been brought on to bring our expertise in development from across Canada, the US, and the Caribbean to these projects. Next slide. Okay, so what is energy storage? So that graphic on the right will be quite helpful here, but essentially at any time, the power grid needs to produce and consume the exact right amount of energy. We typically use more during the day and less at night. And what batteries do is they help to levelize that. So for example, in Ontario right now, we often sell our electricity when we're not using enough of it. And during peak demands, that's when energy gets really expensive. And so batteries would help to levelize that. Charging at night, typically when power demand is low and production is high, and then conversely, putting it back into the grid when it's needed most. Next slide. Ontario needs energy storage now because if you see this graphic, that green bar is Ontario's forecasted energy demand, and the bars below it are the forecasted production. Now those drop off as some assets are coming offline, and as a result, the Ontario Energy Operator is procuring new electricity and capacity for the grid to ensure that we'll have energy to come. Batteries support this because, again, they levelize that. So as we bring new large power plants online, they'll ensure that we're using energy the most effectively throughout the day. Next slide. Next slide, please. There we go. Awesome. So the moment we've been waiting for, Hanover, or the West Grey BESS, it's a 7-megawatt plant with an 8-hour duration. So this would be, 56 megawatt hours. A project of that size can support up to 2,000 homes, or over 2,000 homes, I believe. And it would be connected to the 44 kilovolt line that's already there that runs along Gray Road. A project of this size is actually quite small for the number of homes it could power, just 2.5 acres, depending on the final site plan. And this would consist of about 16 20-foot shipping containers. I'll get into the technology in a moment, but next slide. A little bit more about the site. So it's on 281-266 Normandy Bentinck Town Line. This project would be a 20-year lease with the property owner. Oh, something I forgot to mention. This project overall is part of a larger RFP through the IESO. for 20-year projects to produce capacity for Ontario's grid. That RFP is actually due December 18th. And so this engagement with West Grey now is part of that process. Ultimately, the IESO needs us to secure a municipal support resolution in order to move forward with the project in any way. But yes, as I said, it's a 20-year lease with the landowner because it is a 20-year contract with the IESO. It's currently zoned as rural, and it's a cleared lot already. It's not prime ag. The surrounding uses are rural and residential, but the nearest home is over 200 meters away. We do have some wetlands nearby, but we're ensuring that the project is outside of any wetland buffers, and it's also well placed away from the Hydro One corridor. Next slide. Okay, so what would a project like this do for West Grey? First, create local jobs. Skyline would ensure that we would be procuring local civil work wherever possible. Also, directly money to the municipality through a direct community benefit agreement. We're proposing the value of $1,000 per megawatt per year for 20 years. Just to be clear, all of the costs associated with the building and the interconnection of this project will be borne entirely by Skyline. So the financial upside is just that for West Grey. And then this would also help to ensure local energy reliability. The local grid would be supported by the capacity this project brings. Next slide. This is a safe and proven technology. As I said, we're using lithium iron phosphate batteries. This is a little bit different from the batteries that are in your phones or laptops. Those batteries are lighter, but they're less stable. They're more prone to fires, whereas, and they're also they're nickel, manganese, cobalt. So they also have heavy metals and resources that have different extraction types, whereas lithium ion batteries or the LFP, lithium iron phosphate batteries, they're a lot heavier, so not great for cell phones, but they're a lot more stable and they're a lot more safe for this use. They also don't have any fumes or chemicals or sound that they give off. There's no risk for heavy metal spills from them, unlike with, again, regular NMC batteries. And there's a very low incident of risk. As I said, they're a lot safer and more stable than a lot of the batteries you think of today. Next slide. Okay, we also will be using multiple levels of fire protection from the site layout. There's different regulations that need to be followed. The containers are designed with automatic fire detection and suppression inside, as well as Skyline would ensure that there is an emergency response plan developed in conjunction with local fire departments. We'll also be bringing on ESRG, who is a firefighter-led fire safety plan consultancy, to develop that fire response plan. Next slide. The manufacturer that we're contending with, our front runner is Canadian Solar. They're one of the largest manufacturers of solar panels globally. They also produce batteries. And as I said, this is a lithium iron phosphate battery produced by them. Next slide. Running out of time here. I'll let Matt talk about operations.
Yes, so we're partnered with Hinnville Crawler Development Corp. It's a fully integrated member of the Skyline Group of companies. They currently provide all operations and maintenance for our solar facilities and have recently finalized the construction of the TTC bus battery charging station in coordination with Panasonic, a really high profile project. And they've recently finished the installation of a 5 megawatt battery energy storage system with Solar Bank here in Ontario as well. So a lot of experience in there. They currently do operations and maintenance for a battery storage microgrid project as well. And they would be the one developing, helping develop and operating this project for the life of it.
Okay, next slide, and the last slide, really. So the project timeline, we're in the very early stages. Right now, we're presenting this project for the first time. Ultimately, as I said, we'll need to secure a municipal support resolution if we hope to move forward to actually bid in the IESO's RFP. That bid is due December 18th. The IESO in June 2026 will notify the developers that have won the bid, and then that's when the project really kicks off with involved consultative site design, leading construction into 2027, and ideally project operation starting in 2028. Okay. And the last slide is just our contact information, but if there is time for any, we are open to questions.
I like how the alarm went off just as you got down to the timeline. Do allow for 10 minutes for presentations, so Jamie's always got that going. Yes, I think in this case, I'm gonna rely on some questions if there are any from any of the council members. And Councillor Hutchison, start with you, please.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I do believe that, as you point out, that energy in the future is a big thing, and any means that we can support our grid is important. We have had a presentation in the past. I like the concept of yours in terms of it's maybe in a better location than the previous one that we had come forward. I do have some couple of questions. When I looked at your website, I didn't see a whole lot of projects like this. You mentioned about the TTC1 Toronto. Do you have, or the company that's going to build this solar, Canadian Solar, do they have some other facilities like this in Ontario or in Canada?
So battery energy storage is relatively new to Canada. Canadian Solar has been the manufacturer of batteries for quite some time now in the United States. Projects are starting to pop up in Canada. This is the LT2, so the second long-term procurement for capacity in Ontario. LT1 predated this. So those projects are just starting to come online today. So no, we currently do not own any battery energy storage projects, but our partner company, Enville Crawler Development Corp, has extensive experience operating those. And this is really the third arm. The fund was started off in solar. We added biogas to our asset class, and battery energy storage is sort of the third asset class that we're entering into now.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and previous one of the major concerns we had was the fire suppression and whatnot. And I think you touched on that and how important that is. Again, location is important in that part of it too. Disappointing in some ways to find that the lithium batteries are produced in China. It'd be nice if they produce them in Canada. I don't know if that's in the works, but obviously the more we can produce in-house, the better, right? So I don't know if there's anything coming down the pipe on that.
We would love to use 100% Canadian batteries. That would be our intention. Unfortunately, right now, 99% of the batteries are all coming out of China. Doesn't matter which company is manufacturing them and doing that. You're getting most of the raw materials today from China. In the future, I can't speak to that, but we're always looking for opportunities like that. And I'm also glad you mentioned the fire suppression. We didn't touch on it much, but the needs of the local fire department. We don't need extra water. There's no specialized equipment that's needed for this. These batteries are built in a way with the internal fire suppression. And really the main ask of fire department and working with them is you keep the area around it. If there is a fire event, just watch for plumes and things like that, but really no extra needed for the fire safety.
Okay, good thing. And one more. The last question I have is, it talks about the municipality gaining some money based on the megawatts per year. Any idea how many megawatts per year you would produce?
It would actually be the megawatts of the project, so it'd be around 7 megawatts. So $7,000 per year.
Per year. Okay, good. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor, Tom?
Thank you, Mayor Eccles. Good morning. You mentioned right at the start, 20 years is the term. Then what happens? After 20 years.
So there is a full decommissioning plan as part of our submission to this. So the requirement is to fully decommission in the site and get the land back to the same status or close to the same status it was before. So essentially, the construction of this involves putting gravel down, pouring concrete pads, building a substation to connect into the grid, and then bringing in these battery containers to sit on that concrete. So it's really not it's not as intrusive as a large solar field where you have piles across 100 acres. This is a relatively small site. We have to put up a security bond, a performance bond, so that we have to decommission that. So it won't be in the case where we get to the end of the project and there's no money left. It's part of our bid that we have to put that money up front to ensure the decommissioning happens.
So this is 20 years and done, so it's not really renewable?
No, it's renewable. We would hope to secure a contract after that. We'd have to go through this process all over again. You know, these batteries do have a long life. We assume that, you know, we might have between 80 and 85% of performance still at the end of the year, 20-year contract. I don't see the energy demands in Ontario decreasing during that time, and I'd hope that we can repurpose that asset to be on the grid for another 20 years after that would be our long-term approach to that. The IESO through this procurement is offering 20-year contracts, and that's the term we're discussing today.
Okay, any other things? Anything else? You did mention that, yeah, a letter of support or, you know, compliance, whatever we want, whatever terminology we use on that. We have had a number of, from ISOs, a number of solar panel requests come in and whatnot. So I guess what I'm trying to say is we'll look forward to seeing your letter come forward for that request. That's, I'm not going to sign it today because oh, haven't even got it yet today. So we'll be looking forward to that request. Councillor Hutchison, you thought of something else, didn't you? I figured you would.
One more question. I see that in your proposal, you have some hydro, you're involved in some hydro generation, in terms of water production of electricity. Is that correct?
Currently don't own any assets right now in the hydro generation side. We are assessing a portfolio currently of about 20 assets that we'd be looking to acquire as well. But
Okay,
currently nothing.
Because we may have a dam that could produce electricity in the future in our town. So if you're looking for opportunities, come talk to us.
Absolutely, we are. Thank you.
And that sparked another question. Jeffrey, Councillor Shea.
When the letter comes and we're considering whether to approve or sign it, do you think we could get input from the fire department or the fire chief?
I'm going to stick my neck out and say that would be an absolute on this. Where this is situated, I believe that this is under the Newstead because it's on the south side of the town line. Under the Newstead Fire Department, I don't believe that this is part of the contracted area for Hanover Fire. We purchase services from a number of and supply services in and around. I think this is the Newstead Fire Department, but irregardless, I think we would. Madam CEO.
Thank you. I do like, my goodness, good morning, council. The other thing, I know the Ontario Fire Marshal has done a lot of work on fire suppression related to any kind of battery energy storage system. So I would suggest our fire chief can get some of that information as well to support any interest council and knowing a little bit more about that.
Just if I could add something there, Mayor. We also have engaged a firefighter-led group that will be available to come in and train specifically on battery energy storage that we would take on as our obligation for this project as well. So we're happy to bring those people in who have, you know, extensive experience with battery energy storage and the fire suppression units and the plan to come up with a fire safety plan.
Very good. Well, Matt, Chantal, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it. Look forward to the request and continue the work as energy supply throughout the province continues to grow and change, and how a little municipality of West Grey can contribute to the and our community can contribute to the needs of the province and quite frankly our country as well too. So look forward to further discussions. Thank you very much.
Thanks everyone. Thanks for your consideration.
Thank you, Chantal. All right. That moves us on to public meetings, which I don't believe there are any. Comment period. And at this time, it's open to the floor to anyone from the public. We have 10 minutes allotted, 2 minutes per individual. If anybody that wants to make a comment on anything that is on the agenda today. I'm going to start, is there anyone online actually this morning? No? And anyone in the audience have any comments that they would like to make on anything on the agenda? Okay, that's gone. We're down to number 7. We don't have anybody that's commenting. So we're down to number 7, adoption of minutes. In our package, we had 2 sets of minutes, council minutes, one from the regular council meeting on September the 16th and a special council meeting dealing with budget specifically on September the 23rd. I need a motion to receive those. Councillor Hutchison and Deputy Mayor Hutchison. For that, thank you very much. Any errors or omissions? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. And I should have mentioned that Councillor Townsend is not with us today. He had other commitments of a personal nature, so wish him good luck with that. Number 8, committee and board reports. We have 4, 5, 6. Sorry, 6 in there. We can do them all in one motion to receive. Smart Conservation, another one from Smart Mobility, highlights from Grey County Council, Airport, and the other Grey County Council meeting since we last met. Thank you. Councillor Forrester moves to receive those. And Councillor New, I see your hand up. No, no. Oh, that was just flashing across the screen there. Okay. But I do see it up now. Thank you, Joyce. So moved by Councillor Forrester, seconded by Councillor Noon to receive those. No questions on the motion? Yes, Joyce, Councillor Noon.
Thank you. Just for clarification to the mayor or the deputy mayor, under the County of Grey's highlights, there's a bullet recognizing that council received a report on the new optional affordable rental housing subclass that was introduced by the province. And we had discussed that at a previous meeting that for support. I was just wondering, did the county just receive it as information, or do you think something's coming forward that they would support it, that the municipality then can, you know, provide that reduction for the like the tax reduction for eligible units? I was just wondering where that was left.
From my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, the county was looking at it to see how that could be implemented, but it wouldn't be implemented until the 2026 tax year, obviously, and put into place. And you were correct on the words qualifying. From our understanding, it would come in, but it's not retro to, it's on any new. So I know we've had 2 requests from local housing facilities. And from our understanding, they would not qualify because they're in. But to that case, it's got to be done at the county to set that rate. So the county is looking at it to get it in place for 2026 and what effect that would have. But it's not necessarily, it would be a break for some of those. The other effect is it just shifts so that the whole would be picked up, and that's by the other residential units across the county. Okay, yeah. All right. No other questions? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's receiving. Thank you. And my clerk is leaving. Oh, okay. 9.1. And, oh boy. I got nobody to keep me in order now. Well, he's passed the torch off to you, didn't he, Michelle? Very good, very good. I can't get too far off track then. In correspondence, we have one correspondence, 9.1.1 is, and one of those correspondence is needing direction or response from council. It is from Olivia Yale, a request from a noise exemption for next year, August 1st, 2026. And our clerk has a conflict with this. I think it's a personal matter between him and his fiancée, who happens to be Olivia. So how do we want to deal with this? The request is that the noise bylaw be an exemption on that day for a property in Elmwood for a civil wedding ceremony. Councillor Hutchison, I'll go to you first, Doug, and then.
I'd like to support this request, but I also have a question regarding, I would hope that when you have something like this, that you would contact your neighbors and involve your neighbors to make sure that they're aware of what's happening and that you have their support. So that's all I would ask for.
Very good. Tom?
Yeah, and I would support it as well. Moving that, Doug, I would gladly second that, and that was the same thing I had, is just to make sure that just reach out to the neighbors, and I think we've done that. I've had that in the past, and that's just a proper way to do it, so, thank you.
Might make the suggestion to the clerk. Yeah. It's always good if you're going to have one of these, just invite everybody. All the neighbors. No. So you're going to move that, Doug, and Tom, you want to second that to support it? Got that, Michelle?
And I have beautiful words prepared that I didn't prepare, but if I may read them.
Please, motion that you've got.
That in consideration of correspondence received from Olivia Yale respecting a noise bylaw exemption request for an event taking place at 28 Mills Street, Elmwood on August 1st, 2026. Council hereby exempts the aforementioned event from the provisions of the noise bylaw respecting the operation of any electronic devices intended for the production, reproduction, or amplification of sound and loud playing of musical instruments during the following dates: August 1st, 2026 from 4 p.m. to 11:59 p.m. and on August 2nd from 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. 12 a.m. to 1 a.m.
Right. That's good for both of you. Okay. Motions on the floor. Any further discussion? Comments? Then I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. All right. Thank you. And we'll ask the clerk back in, Director of Legislative Services. Thank you, Jamie. The other correspondence, and there is a number of correspondence there. We can deal with them all in one motion, or does somebody want to pull one of those? And I'll look to Councillor Hutchison. Doug?
Yes, I have a question on number 4 and 5, and I'd like to pull number 9 just to get some clarity on that one.
Okay. Well, go ahead. We will.
Okay, so number 4 has to do with the, I believe it's Southgate bringing in natural gas and whatnot, and I was curious, do they have natural gas now? And this is just an add-on, or is this all new in terms of natural gas in that area? Does anyone know that?
My understanding is there is some spots in Southgate that do have natural gas. But in reading this correspondence, what they're asking for is for the province to continue with the expansion of natural gas in areas that don't have it.
Just an expansion.
Yeah, that's how I read it anyways. And speaking with the mayor, that's what their expectations are, is to continue that,
Okay,
which would be very similar to what we have here in West Grace.
all right, good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Number 5.
Right, and number 5 has to do with Kitchener area, getting rid of paper billing for numerous things. And I was curious, question to maybe our CEO in terms of are we going this direction? Is this the future where eventually we will, especially with the whole postal thing these days, getting rid of paper billing? And I know you sort of like some paperless things, so I would just throw that out there for comment if I could.
Thank you. Through you to council, Mayor. We are looking at hybrid options now. As you know, we have introduced online options for payment recently for water billing, et cetera. I think, as we all know, with change management, sometimes you can't just rip the Band-Aid off, and I'm not sure we're ready to go paperless yet. We will go in small increments, but I do believe the option of having electronic payments is, especially in the world in which we live, is going to be critical. A lot of people have been asking for it, so we will continue to monitor it, but I don't see us anytime soon abandoning paper.
And payments we have, but we have recently launched our electronic billing as well for tax and water. So in light of the postal strike, we're hoping to push that out and get that, a lot of enrollment on that way, because people are still obligated to pay their bills. So it's another option for them to make sure they receive them in a timely fashion.
Okay. Any idea what percentage we would be at now, like in terms of people getting paper versus paperless, and where would we be right now?
We've only just started it just last month with the ability to receive e-billing. So, and we haven't been able to launch it out through a mailing, or we've done some social media. But we are trying to continue to push it, but it's just been launched. So,
and since we're here, this is data that we will continue to monitor, and then when we do a year-end report, we'll update on that, but it'll give us some metrics for the effectiveness and efficiency of moving into optional directions for this.
Good, thank you. And number 9, I'm just looking for some clarity on that. It's a very wordy document, and we know as we roll out our Blue Box program that there's a lot of issues that are arising. I don't know if anybody else has received some phone calls, but I've received a couple, and I'm sure the office probably has too. But I just wondered, this letter sort of tries to explain where we are with the ICL, IC and I. Oh, is that right? IC and I guess an institution, commercial and industrial collection. So as we right now, you see downtown in some of our towns, we have a blue box and we have a green box. And the green box, my understanding is our commercial. So I'm just wondering, where are we? Where do we see ourselves going? This is only a temporary thing because it's changing, it's morphing, and we have a contract that we have to renew in terms of our garbage pickup. So could someone give me some clarity on where we're at and where we're going with this?
Good morning, Mayor and Council. I'm going to try to provide some clarity, but this is very difficult. We did receive further correspondence from the province late last week, which further complicates the issue. So as you know, during the transition period of 2025, Council did make the agreement to collect recycling from the business community. we're trying to work with the province, CMO and pros to try to determine what's going to happen January 1, 2026. And once we have a straight answer for you on what the process is and a recommendation, the environmental officer will be bringing back a report to try to explain what the options are. Unfortunately, that's about as clear as mud answer as I can provide it at this point.
And since we're on the tag team mode today, I'll tag in on this if I may. As we know, council supported the collection that we would incur. Try it again. Supported the collection of non-eligible sources, which is the business collection for recycling until the end of this calendar year, which is why the green bins are out there right now. The blue bins, which are the residential collection, which I know not everybody is delighted with, we have no choice on that. That's a provincial initiative, so they need to be out there, and they've hired a company to manage that process. Additionally, another layer of that, as you alluded to, Councillor Hutchinson, our current contract for waste collection, which used to, up until this year, include recycling collection, expires in June 30th of 2026. So we will be looking at options for garbage collection. It is a bit of a monopoly out there, and we received one submission. And we will be bringing information back to you about that. Separately, we will also be bringing back a report to give council an opportunity to discuss how they want to deal with the non-eligible moving forward, because that was not part of our contract. So given the complexity of this issue and the fact that we are getting weekly notices from the province about changes, modifications. We recently got a email from the ministry voicing their frustration with the producers, and like there's a bit of back and forth there. So we're trying to break the issue into individual parts because of the complexity. And as we learn more, we will bring that information back to you. For the public, anybody who is listening, we do have on our website a section that includes frequently asked questions related to the cart transition for recycling. And I encourage anybody to go on to that site. If we hear questions that we haven't thought about, we're adding them out there. We're pushing information through social media, and we do have staff, including Director Aiken and our environmental officer and our customer service team, responding to questions, numerous questions every single day. And we're trying to stay ahead of it, but we only can work on the information we're provided. So I sound a bit like a bureaucrat passing the buck, but there's only so much within our control. And as we know more, we will continue to share that information with you.
So I guess my concern is because I'm on the BIA, I know I'm going to get some questions the next time we have a PIA meeting because of the way it works in the downtowns. I know, and even in the countries, I know one of the concerns that have come forward is I have a great big bin and I live on my laneway is 50 or 500 meters long. How am I going to get that? I don't have a truck. How am I going to get that thing to the road? So I think what we're starting to see is people are leaving their blue bins at the road, right? And they're not small, which unfortunately, maybe a little bit smaller would have been better because for some people to get it in the house is even a bit of a challenge. But anyways, so I think we're going to see them at the road, which is fine as long as they can be picked up. But in the downtowns, people who live above a business, I see them on the street because now they live upstairs. And where they put their blue box, well, they can't take it up the stairs, so they just leave it on the street. That's going to create an issue. Commercial businesses, if they can't bring it into their store because of the steps or it's too big or whatever, it's going to be on the street. So my thoughts are maybe we need to think outside the box in terms of how we manage our downtown cores with this. Whether we look at a central location or whether we look at Moloch or something in the future going forward. I don't know. I just think right now it's a bit of a mess. the way it's rolling out, and it's not our fault. But we're the ones that are in the front line and get all the questions and deal with it. But it's not ideal. And I think we're gonna have to try to work to make it a little simpler than it is now.
Thank you for that comment. We are aware of all of those concerns. We will be bringing back options, certainly for the business. We've got some suggestions that council might want to consider around how to handle non-eligible. And in fact, the municipality doesn't necessarily have to. We aren't obligated to deal with it. So there's other ways that we can look at dealing with that, and we will bring those forward for your consideration. Related to the public living in another municipality and having these bins, the size can look onerous. I have a long gravel driveway and they're actually ridiculously easy to move, even in the winter. I can move 2 of them at once as I walk down the driveway. But we do know that there are some of our residents who have perhaps mobility issues, accessibility issues. Taking it a wee bit personally. That we are working with the provincial contractor to look at options, and they are exploring options for people who have specific needs. I think the other thing, we've had a lot of comments about the size of them, which we know is equivalent to about 6 of the they hold about 6 of the existing blue boxes. And you know, we've said you can keep and not put it out until every second or third collection. So there's options, but we will be continuing to monitor this and address it as best we can within what's in our control.
I think Michelle made a very good point there. We're not the first to have these bins. There's a very close municipality that have had these bins since 2000, maybe even before that, 1999, when the municipality of Southgate. So I think that through communications with that municipality and how they've dealt with it in the last 25 years may give us some solutions as well too, moving forward. Okay. I do know that I got mine to the end of the driveway today in the rain. Okay. All right. I don't think we need those pulled as much as there was just a couple of comments on. We can move the correspondence package all together. Jamie, so I need a motion for that. Deputy Mayor Hutchison and Councillor Forrester to receive the correspondence in the package 9.2. Any further questions? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Okay. That brings us down to staff reports. 10.1, Manager of Planning. Mr. Smith. Good morning, David.
Morning, Mayor, Council. Subject H, holding removal amendment to the delegations of powers and duties bylaw. In February 2024, West Grey enacted a delegation of powers and duties bylaw. And then we had it amended in July of 2024, which added a number of powers to staff in regards to various Planning Act applications or agreements, subdivision agreements, consent agreements, things like that, that were added to staff powers to sign, as opposed to having to bring it to council for approval of every agreement, change in agreement, modification. All of that was added to the delegation bylaws over the last year or so. One power we didn't add at the time, and probably more of an oversight than anything in terms of our request to you, was the removal of H holding removals, which is a bylaw requirement that can be delegated to staff. This report recommends that that particular power, H holding removal, be delegated to staff and added to the existing bylaw for duties and powers. Adding that to the current bylaw will reduce a little bit of our red tape. It will certainly reduce the time limit or requirements on that in terms of bringing it to council, requiring a bylaw and everything else after the fact, so things can move forward a little quicker. Overall, the H holding removals are typically looked at as a technical exercise. The H holdings have specific things that need to be accomplished. For example, an entrance permit from the municipality, an entrance permit from MTO, a waiver of an environmental impact study, a submission of a particular study, things like that, which are typically looked at as technical issues within the bylaws, and therefore seen as a technical write-off. Did you get an entrance permit? Yes or no? And therefore, looking at the H removals as a technical exercise to be delegated to staff, we feel would be appropriate to add to the existing bylaw. With that in mind, we do recommend that as noted in the staff report, that council direct staff to bring forward a bylaw to amend the current delegations bylaw to add the powers and duties as outlined in Schedule A of the report presented this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, David. There's a recommendation in there. Any questions before I ask for somebody to move? Doug? Councillor Hutchison.
Just one question. Since we're going through this process and whatnot, and there may be changes in our planning in the future, in the new year. So I'm wondering, how do these changes align with the county, since we potentially could be, our planners could be working from the county level? Are we in sync with what's happening in the county, or is this going to be one of 9 municipalities that are all doing their own thing? Any response to that? Are we in line?
I would say in general, yes. What councils have delegated to staff can vary across the county. There's no doubt about that. I can't tell you that every single municipality is delegated H removals. All I can tell you is that the county official plan allows for delegation to happen at the discretion of a council, local council. So whether or not they do or not, I haven't asked. We could suggest at the moment is that it's certainly appropriate, we think, in our instance, and certainly in line with the powers that council has delegated to staff already. In terms of the possibly moving to the county system for planning, the Schedule A requires 2 signatures on the approval, one from the municipal clerk and one from the planner, and whether or not that is your planner on staff or a planner hired from somebody else, it's a dual signature.
Okay, thanks for that, Dave. Any other questions? Councillor Shay.
Yeah, thank you. So currently, the removal of these H holding statuses requires bringing it to council or committee of adjustment. And this would alleviate that step there and speed up the process. Are there any cases where council or committee of adjustment has denied removing an H holding in your recollection?
Can't say for sure in West Grade in the short period of time I've been here. No, as I mentioned, they're typically a technical exercise, and that did you do this? Yes or no? That still doesn't obligate council to remove the H, but it certainly puts you in a position where it's like, what more do you want from me? I provided what I got. So I haven't seen it over the years that I've been in business typically either. There's maybe been discussions about it, but at the end of the day, I've never seen an H holding not approved if the required documentation has been provided.
Okay. Any other questions for planning staff? There is a recommendation in there that we delegate these authorities. I think the most important part in there was basically to cut red tape and get the planning process moving at a more efficient and quicker fashion. Anybody want to move the recommendation? Councillor Shay and Deputy Mayor Hutchison. Any questions on the motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council.
Well, thank you, David. All right. This one's a good one. Director of Legislative Services and this one's on the flag proclamation. Am I correct on that, Jamie? Yes, flag and, not flag proclamation, flag and proclamations. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Eccleston, through you. Report. In response to increasingly frequent requests and a variety of such requests, staff have developed a flag and proclamation policy to provide clear, consistent, and transparent framework for how the municipality manages the display of flags and the issuance of proclamations. The policy is intended to ensure that municipal practices are aligned with the principles of neutrality, fairness, and respectful use of civic spaces. The draft policy establishes a clear and consistent approach to flag displays on municipal properties. It ensures the national, provincial, and municipal flags are flown at all times without compromise, and identifies and clearly articulates the protocol for half-masting flags in accordance with official mourning practices established by Heritage Canada. I will note that should the municipality install a community flag pole at the municipal office, this policy can be revised in future by council. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Anybody? I think it resolves some of our questions that we've had. Jeffrey, go ahead. Appreciate.
I don't know the exact details of the history of flying flags in the municipality. But I do have a sense that one of the first and regular requests that we received and accepted was request to fly the pride flag. And I do feel that the discussion to stop displaying flags because they may be unneutral or biased or take a particular stance, maybe a stance that some other group would like to have the opposite position and they want to fly like a contrary flag, has caused some consternation among councillors and maybe members of the public. But I do think that it's a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction, this policy, that we're sort of stepping away from what was, in my mind, a generous and inclusive action on the part of the municipality. So my question to the clerk would be, what is the norm in other municipalities across the province? Are we the outlier in flying flags of this sort, or are we going to become the outlier by denying the flying of flags?
Thank you, and through miracles to council. When I was putting this policy together, I did a comprehensive review of flag policies from across Ontario. So Northern Ontario, Southern Ontario, and everywhere in between. The trend that I was noticing was that municipalities are moving away from flying community flags, not unilaterally. However, what I noticed was that in communities where there was no community flagpole specifically, the municipality took the position that they would only fly the federal, provincial, and municipal flags. In municipalities where they did have a community flagpole, there was a separate process and policy to deal with those requests from community groups. And as I've indicated in this document, that should council provide funding for a community flagpole at the municipal office, this could certainly be revised to incorporate requests from community groups in the future. As council is aware, we have 3 flagpoles at the municipal office. Historically, whenever a request to fly a flag has come in, we have removed the West Grey flag, thereby taking down our visual identity in that sense, to put up the community group's flags. So this is just maintaining that neutrality and consistency to ensure that we can continue to fly the West Grey flag moving forward, and seeks to address requests from community groups in future should council provide funding for a community flagpole.
I would rather see us continue the practice of removing the West Grey flag to fly community flags at this one location. We're not saying we're going to do it everywhere throughout the municipality. And in terms of weakening the community or the municipal brand identity, the building has the logo on it, the sign has the logo on it. I don't think that anybody is going to mistake this for something other than the West Grey Municipal Office if that flag is not being flown for a particular week or a particular period. So I would rather see us continue the practice that we have of taking down the West Grey flag and entertaining requests either on a case-by-case basis or according to some other policy that you said you would be prepared to research and prepare if we had a fourth flag. So if you had some other ideas about protocols or procedures for approving things in the case that we had a fourth community flagpole, I would like to see those brought forward but just used with the 3 existing flagpoles as we have done in the past. So I don't want to support this currently, and I would like to see further discussion and perhaps preparation by the clerk on an alternative to this policy. Thank you.
Anyone else? Doug?
Well, I sort of like the idea of having this policy, the neutrality of it. I think it saves us, it puts us in a bit of a hard spot, between a rock and a hard spot, really, in terms of trying to make a decision on whether we support this group or we support that group by flying flags. I think with having it just that we fly provincial, federal, and municipal, we don't have to make those decisions. We're already supporting our community by what we do here. I think by saying, okay, today we're going to fly this flag, but tomorrow we're not going to fly that flag. It takes away that decision making that we need to make, because when we fly one flag, you may offend somebody who's against that flag. Like I don't see that it's all that important for us to fly the community flags. People can fly those in their area or at their buildings or whatever. I just think it's good to stay neutral and takes that decision making away from council in terms of supporting one group and not another.
Anyone else? Deputy Mayor, Tom?
Hey, Mayor Eccles, and I too, I agree with what Councillor Hutchison just said. I think the 3 flags, the Canadian flag actually encompasses all of us across the entire country. So I think that speaks for our democracy and for all of us, is how I look at it. West Grey is our brand and is unique to our specific area and obviously the province. So I think those are the 3. I know other municipalities, I've talked to other people around, they simply fly those 3 and that's what they do. And it's, we acknowledge and we support, all these groups around, and we certainly do that. So I'm very comfortable just maintaining the 3 and sticking to that policy that's been brought forward. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Councillor Noon, Joyce?
I too agree that keeping it just to the 3 recognitions, Canadian, provincial, and municipal, is good. Yes, it'd be nice to recognize others, but we just experienced just recently 2 requests to have the flags posted at the same time. So again, we don't have to, decipher, who gets that, recognition, longer, shorter, whatever. So keeping it neutral and we don't show any bias then of who we're trying to recognize and not recognize. The other thing too is if we'd have the 4th flag and these individuals might think, well, why haven't you got my flag up? It's done the same time last year. Like it would always have to be done by request. So I think just keeping it the 3 would is the best route to go. Thank you.
Anyone else? Oh. Well, the recommendation is there. Somebody either. Tom,
I also agree with the recommendations are, I would like clerk's report here.
move the recommendation. Very good. And Counselor Hutchison. Second that. Thank you. Any questions on the motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? I declare that carried. Very good. Okay. That's all, Jamie, that you had. Item CEO. I believe the next one from 10.3.1 is yours. Michelle?
Thank you. I'm afraid of this thing now. I'm not sure what it's going to do. Thank you, Council. As Council is aware, the Library Board provided a request to Council back in July of this year, requesting that we do an evaluation of the Newstead Library branch, specifically due to damage that was incurred on that building during the ice storm in March of 2025. Along with that, Council had requested that there be some data on usage of the library so that it would help formulate the discussion and an understanding of the activity at the branch. The CEO of the library has provided a summary of usage, which I've attached in this package. And staff in the meantime have assessed the impact of the ice damage to the building. It has been determined that there are critical repairs that we are recommending be dealt with immediately to mitigate and ensure that there's no further damage this winter during the ravages of winter, which we're hopeful will pass us this year, but one never knows. Additionally, there is subsequent work that needs to be done with the interior of the building, soffit and fascia, and we've requested that the Mayor consider those subsequent repairs in the 2026 West Grey budget. But the roof repairs, if they're done now to an upset limit of $16,000, excluding HST, we believe would protect the integrity of the building for this winter and allow us to do subsequent repairs in 2026. I think the other thing that, in talking with the library CEO, and as Council is aware, we are recommending, and I think the library is in the process of undertaking a strategic plan and understanding what future priorities are for the Newstead branch will be helpful so that we can assess and look at how we can best support in the long term the delivery of library services in Newstead and what that looks like. Because as you can see identified in the report, we have identified that there will be some other long-term, as we look at a 10-year capital forecast, repairs that likely will need to be made to that building. If the library decides they want the upper floor of that building for programming, for instance, that triggers accessibility requirements, et cetera, which could be up to $200,000. So making any long-term determinations on how we invest in that building will be very much, in my opinion, following what the library's plans are for providing library services for Newstead. So in this report, we're asking that Council approve us engaging a contractor to undertake the roof repairs, that the maximum upset limit of those repairs be $16,000, which is a 2025 unbudgeted request. So we're recommending it come from the municipality's general capital reserve, and that the Mayor consider inclusion of ice damage remediation related to soffits, fascia, and library interior in the 2026 budget.
Very good. Thank you, Michelle. Any questions? Yeah, he does, but I'll look over this side first. I knew he had his hand up. Jeffrey, go ahead, Councillor Shay.
Can take a break there for a minute, Doug. I just noticed that in the attached document around usage, circulation and number of visitors, that comparing pre-COVID to last full year, that the Durham branch and the Ayton branch have more or less bounced back, whereas the Newstat branch seems to be lagging quite a bit. And I don't know if there's any further explanation or consideration, like you're talking about thinking about the long-term viability of this building. I doubt there's much appetite for closing the branch, but you're thinking that perhaps we should be moving it to a better, more fit facility. Maybe, and I don't know if it would be perhaps a shared facility or something that could reflect the diminishing stats, or perhaps there's some reason for the smaller stats that could be explained to me. Thank you.
Thank you. So I don't work in the library, so I can defer some of this to the library CEO, but I will speak about, and that's why we asked about what the future, and the CEO and I have had conversations about this, what programming, and I know libraries are evolving in how they deliver services and what they deliver. I think a library is still an important cultural hub in a community, but and I don't want to presuppose what the library board comes forward with their strategic plan, nor do I want to jump into a political hornet's nest here. But at the end of the day, I think providing level of service to our new residents in Newstead is important, but depending what that service is, how and where we provide that could be maybe done differently. We have a very active Newstead Community Center. Is there an option? While we're not sure there's existing space there, is there an opportunity to perhaps add on to that facility, bring different types of programming there, and create more of a community hub? And I don't have the answers yet. I would certainly rely on the library board to do that. But I think it's important, as we're pushing up against some significant capital expenditures for a building that's very old, given the usage, how much money do we want to invest in that physical structure? Or are there potentially other ways to deliver those library services more cost effectively, and that may be able to reach different audiences, more audiences, new audiences? And that's where I would defer. But those conversations have to happen. And I think the starting point will be with the library strategic plan.
Good. Councillor Hutchison, Doug?
Yeah, I too agree. I think the board, I'm sure, is going to have many discussions on this, but my concern is that we have a building that we're putting a lot of money into, and going forward, we're going to put a lot more money into it for 12 hours a week of service. To me, that doesn't make a lot of sense that we maintain a whole building for 12 hours a week. So I think we need to look at that and decide, maybe it's better to lease a storefront if they want to keep it downtown. Lease a storefront and do it that way. But again, it's only 12 hours. So it's definitely something we need to the board needs to look at in the future, just because of the cost of maintaining this building, I think is a big factor. But I do like to see that they continue to have library service in some form. I don't know what that looks like.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? I guess it's just one question, if I could make an exception of something from the chair. 2024, there was roughly 103 visits per month, I believe is how I read the stat. 2025, it's up to 113 approximately visitors per month. But is that, 3 times a week, the facility's open 12 to 15 times a month, depending on which month you're in, whether you get 5 weeks or 4 weeks, but let's go with just 4, 12 times. So is that 10 people? Visitors aren't numbers. Is it 10, you know? Is it 10 or is it 15 people? 10 people that are visiting it every day that it's open would give you 100 and, 120 visitors, or that 113. Yeah, just that one that bounces at me. I'll let that go back to the board. Councillor Hutchison or Councillor Shea, and get a little more detail, as you've said, Doug, on on the usage of that. And is it because of the building? Is it, I don't know. That kind of scares me. We did see that in another facility that we ran a number of years, and the numbers just kept dwindling down. That it wasn't sustainable anymore, especially in the building that it was in. Okay, all right, but that's a strategic question. Getting back onto the details, the recommendation here is on putting the funding into that into the library, to the building itself. I think that's very fundamental for the building itself. If we don't repair it, bring it up, in a few years' time, we would be tearing it down. So we've got to invest, in my mind, we've got to invest the money into this at this point in time to keep it as a valued asset of the municipality and the community. All right, the recommendation is there. Do I have anyone that wants to move it? Councillor Shea and Councillor Forrester. Thank you, Scott. Jeff. And that's the recommendation that we go ahead immediately and get those repairs made to the roof to maintain the integrity of the facility of that building. Okay. No other comments on the motion, recommendation? Then I'll call. All those in favor of the recommendation? Any opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much. Do you want to take a quick break? Yes, go ahead. All right. We'll see if we can be back at 25 after. And I expect everybody to be back by 10:30, so. Everyone's here. We'll call the meeting back to order. That's it for staff reports. Questions? Councillor Noon. Joyce?
Thank you, and through you. At the September 2nd council meeting, the RFP was deferred to allow time to meet with the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing and the Minister of Natural Resources. I was wondering if staff has had the opportunity to meet with those ministries as yet.
Thank you so much for the question. We finally got a meeting with them. We met with them on Friday and they gave us a bunch of documents to review. They asked for an update on where we are, and that will inform Director Shiprack's report that comes forward, I believe, the first meeting in November. So yes, we finally did have that meeting on Friday.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none. Number 12, motions for notice. So we had a notice of motion previously given by Councillor Noon. And how are we going to deal with that? Joyce?
Thank you. The motion reads as, whereas the Saugeen Hospice attended the September 2nd, 2025 regular council meeting and provided a delegation on their mission in partnership with Grey and Bruce Communities and the Ministry of Health to plan, design, build, and operate a 6-bed hospice residence that brings compassionate end-of-life care closer to home. And whereas the municipality of West Grey recognized the importance of creating a legacy of care and comfort and hope for generations to come. Therefore, be it resolved that council support the Saugeen Hospice by way of a donation of $2,000 from the grants to organizations budget.
Okay, thank you. That'll be, move that, Joyce? Yes. And Deputy Mayor Hutchison will second that. Any further questions or comments? Nothing. Oh, sorry, Jeff, Councillor Shea.
Just confirming with the treasurer that we have $2,000 in the grants to organization budget.
Through you, Mayor, there's $7,300 currently unallocated in 2025 grants to organizations.
Okay, anything else? This is a good from the chair. I'll say this. Grants to organizations have always been done or have been changed over a number of years, and this would be way out of where the policy is. Policy is we have applications and do that through an application process. I'm not aware that Saugeen Hospice at this point in time has came to West Grey for funding for the hospice. But it is outside of what the policy is, I guess, is where this would be. Anyways, just for information. Now we're going to deal with this. Have a motion on the floor. So, any other questions, comments about this? Call the question then. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Okay. All right. Any other notice of motions? Any announcements? Anyone have any announcements to make? Tom?
Hey, Mayor Eccles, and yeah, still good morning. A couple of things. I just want to update from the Durham Hospital Foundation that we're very pleased to announce that we have a new program coordinator, Andrea Roylance, who's brought many years of experience in fundraising and has some background in hospitals and other non-for-profit organizations. So Andrea will be spearheading our 2020 Bounce 25 and 2026 aggressive capital or fundraising for capital projects. I'd also like to welcome and just announce that we have 4 new board members. That would be including Michelle Harris, Becky Welch, Kim Caswell, and Ted Sodi Easton. I'd like to welcome them to the board because it's we got lots of work ahead of us, lots of major fundraising. Again, really focused on that X-ray suite, and just want to welcome them. So lots of good things happening, and we're going to be out in the community. You're going to see us all over the place. So, any questions about the hospital, the status? Yes, we've saved the hospital. We're moving on. It's we're not going to have the inpatient beds, but we are going to be maintaining the hospital. There's lots of extra services. So if you see any of the board members or Andrea out on the street, please feel free to reach out to any of us, and we can certainly provide you with any updates that are going along. And there's quite a few. Thank you.
Excellent. The X-ray suite fundraising is about 1.2 million is needed to be raised. So hopefully the community will show the support that they always have. Have our hospital, which seems to be very much open and receptive. Okay, Scott, Councillor Forrester.
Thank you, Mayor Eccles. This Friday, October 10th, is the last wing night in Elmwood for the 2025 season. And being as rolled over to fall, pickleball has started again in Newstead, and adult roller skating is back once a month this month, but then after that, there'll be twice a month. Thank you.
Any special day on that? That's usually on the Saturdays for the roller skating, isn't
Yeah,
it?
the first one is Saturday, October 18th, and there's a Halloween theme.
Ah. So we expect to see a lot of turkeys out. Good. Don't go any further. It was just a bad one. Okay. No other announcements? Closed session. We do have a closed session matter. We're in the closed session 4. Do we have somebody to move that we go into closed session? Point of order? Sorry, go ahead.
Is it possible that we could skip down to the bylaws first and then go into closed session so that if anybody's here waiting to see how we do with the bylaws, then they wouldn't have to wait?
I'll defer to the clerk on that one. Procedurally.
Through miracles, procedurally, it's possible. It's up to council to determine whether or not you want to do that, though. So there are a couple of options that we can entertain if council wants to do that, but it's up to council.
I believe what we'll need to have is a motion to deviate from the agenda and do that. Councillor Hutchison.
So I'll make motion to deviate the agenda to cover to go to number 17 bylaws before we go into closed session.
Does that work for you, Jamie?
Through miracles, there's 2 ways we can do this, and I just need to find it in here. The mayor can do it at the mayor's discretion, or council can do it through a vote. I believe the vote is 2/3, so I just have to find it. So if you are interested in doing that at your discretion, then that would save me time in looking, but I will defer to you for.
Okay, let's do it that way then. I say that we'll deviate, council's permission, we'll deviate from the agenda. We'll go to bylaws first and have the closed session at the end of the meeting. Okay? That puts us down to bylaws. And we have, I believe it is 3, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, 4, 3 plus the confirming bylaw. 17.1, 17.2, 0.3, and 0.4. Do I have a mover to pass those bylaws as presented? Deputy Mayor Hutchison and Councillor Hutchison. Any comments on the motion? pass the bylaws as presented? Then I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Jamie?
Three Miracles, just for council's information, I fairly certain I found the section of the bylaw immediately after I said that you could do it your way. And it is a 2/3 vote of the members present. So just for future, just for clarification for council.
Very good. Thank you. Okay. Then that moves us, that's, all the bylaws are passed. Then we can move into closed session. Where the heck is it? Yeah, I know it's 15, but I got there it is. I wanted to bring up the recommendation or how we're going in. Okay. So I'll need a motion to move into closed session. That's why I couldn't find it. I've got the wrong agenda up. I've got the county council agenda up. That doesn't make sense. Need to move into getting from your report, CEO's report, to move into closed session. Jamie.
Three Miracles, the motion for council's consideration is that council now goes into closed session to discuss minutes of the closed session of the regular council meeting held on June 17, 2025, and one matter regarding position plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board respecting West Grey and Hanover Growing Prosperity negotiations.
Thank you. Okay. That is the motion. Do we have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Forrester, seconded by Councillor Shea. We do now move into closed session to discuss those as stated by the director. Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Okay, we'll move into closed session with Madam CEO and Carrie as well. Okay, we're back to open session of council. And gentlemen, you can certainly stay. Reporting out of closed session. We're back from closed session and welcome back. You got us tuned up there, Krista? Thank you. During closed session of council, council reviewed minutes of the closed session of the regular council meeting held on June 17th, 2025, and B, discussed one matter regarding a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instructions to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board respecting Hanover and West Grey Grow and Prosperity negotiations, and direction was given. Thank you. And we did a procedural agenda adjustment, so their bylaws are already passed. That should be everything on our agenda at this point in time. I will declare the meeting adjourned. Well, thank you very much. We'll see you back here at 2 o'clock for Committee of Adjustment.
Vice Chair?